and welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the unboxing of the Root core game, and we imagine that's why you're here checking out this video, because this one requires the core game to play.
Yeah, welcome back to the Root series, and yeah, this isn't something you're just going to be picking this up at your store. You're already going to have the core game. Perhaps you're buying both at once if you're looking for that single player experience, or maybe game with 5 or 6 players. So this expansion is going to be offering a lot, and it is something you might even just pick up alongside with your core. Maybe you've played your core, you're looking to expand into a bigger group of players. The Riverfolk is going to be taking care of all these things.
Yeah, well, without further ado, let's get right into it.
All right, so here's the game box. Really beautiful art here. I like the lizard there a lot. The otter doesn't seem to be as big of a fan of him. Again, game by Cole O'Hurley. The art all done by Kyle Farron. Similar to the box of the core game, it has the player count, age recommendation, and game duration, average time listed there. And as you can see, the player count has shifted to now accommodate 1 to 6 players. So I think this is a really great expansion, and that's adding a significant amount. Adding solo play is really big, especially with the current global pandemic and self-isolation. I think solo play games are especially attractive games right now. And yeah, the age has not changed from the core, so still 10 plus, and the time depicted here has not changed either, so still an hour to an hour and a half. Here are the sides of the box. So off first glance, you can see that the Lizard Cult and the Riverfolk Company, are the two factions introduced here, but there's actually more than that. There's the Mechanical Marquise, as you can see here, and they introduce a second Vagabond player board, so you can now actually play Root with 2 Vagabonds, which is a really interesting option. And there's new character cards introduced for the Vagabonds as well. So there you have the Riverfolk Company and the Lizard Cultist, and then I believe that's the Arbiter. So we'll check out the back of the box, and then we'll jump to the contents inside. So you have as I was describing, you have the essentially 4 new factions introduced. 2 of them are brand new. The Mechanical Marquise will use the pieces of the Marquise from the core game, and then a second Vagabond introduced. There will be a token for that Vagabond inside, as you are able to play with 2 Vagabonds, so you'll need to have a token or a figure for each of them. So a base game is required. This is an expansion, and there are the 3 new character cards for the rogue. So we have the Scoundrel, the Arbiter, and the Vagrant, and we'll get to those inside. But again, really nice back. As we described in earlier, or in the previous video, the printing is listed here. There's the company, Letter Games. If you're looking to order from their website, you can just Google that, and that will come up. You can find that there. So this is the first edition of the game, and the Riverfolk expansion is actually on its 5th printing, and that has just been, this new printing is from 2020. So this is very new, updated. Text and game balance adjustments, I believe, were made. So let's crack it open. So inside, again, really handy learning to play guide here. As you can see, based off of the table of contents, this is a much shorter learn to play guide, because it's an expansion, there's the assumption that you already have a familiarity with the game and you already know how to play. So this learn to play will be the learn to play for the Lizard Cult, the Riverfolk Company, and the Mechanical Marquise, as the second Vagabond will play exact same as the one from the core set. So right off the bat, getting right to some real good stuff here, and it's the Lizard Cult. So the Lizard Cult is very interesting. They have a hatred of birds, supposedly, and they're looking to really just expand their cult and sort of convert the dispossessed creatures of the woodland into their cult. So the cult theme is really cool. I like that the lizards are doing it. I think that's cool. Their figures are yellow, so we'll see that when we get to the components. Then there's the Riverfolk Company. So these are the otters. They're able to swim, so they can travel along the river, whereas the other ones in the core game, you can only do that on the frozen river from the backside. The otters can swim, so they can move along rivers, normal rivers that are not frozen, as if they were paths. So there's the Riverfolk Company. Their mandate mantra play style is essentially just a lot of trade, really leveraging deals and getting figures from opponents, and yeah, a lot of bartering. So if that sounds appealing, that kind of play style sounds appealing to you, I think you'll be a big fan of the Riverfolk Company. So the next page is the Mechanical Marquise. And yeah, so the Mechanical Marquise can be included as a bot play, which is funny because they are literally robots. And that's the bot play can be introduced into your competitive games, and you're also able to play cooperatively as well. So here's the Mechanical Marquise. This is for competitive play. So if you're playing with one other person and you want to get another faction in there, liven things up a little bit in terms of the gameplay, this is certainly an option for you. You can get the Mechanical Marquise out, and then that will also allow you to then maybe play, if you really want to play, say, the Woodland Alliance, maybe the Riverfolk Company. Using the Mechanical Marquise will let you play one of those, whereas in a typical 2-player game, it's probably going to be the Marques Cat versus Erie or something along those lines. So it'll let you use some of your other factions in a 2-player game. So I think that's a really compelling reason to use the Mechanical Marquise in your competitive games. But then you can also use them in the cooperative play as well. So the cooperative play will the Mechanical Marquise use the exact same rules they do when you put the bot into your competitive games, with some just real minor adjustments. As you can see, it's not a lot of text here. Even the text on how to control the Mechanical Marquise, it's really only even 2 pages here, small pages in this booklet, with a little bit of additional text on cooperative play, some minor adjustments to make them a little more powerful. But yeah, not overly complicated, just a couple pages there. You can also play the cooperative as a campaign. So if you're playing solo or just cooperative with one or more other players, that is an option for you as well. If you want to string together a campaign, you're playing a lot of Root, that could be really cool. There's some few kind of added campaign rules there, and if that type of thing appeals to you, I'm sure you'll be happy to see that. And here we have the scenarios. So the ones with the torch are the recommended ones. So you could play the Marques Cat with the 2 new ones here, or throw one of the 2 new ones in with the Marques Cat and the Erie. So you can also, as you can see, there's a plethora of other combinations you can explore with this expansion, but these top 3 are the recommended ones. That's for 3-player games. 4-player and more are over here, and with the Mechanical Marquise here. So that's enough about the Learn to Play booklet. Let's dive into the contents of the box. So, as discussed, just get this out of the way. There are the 4 new player cards, similar to the core, well, exact same type of cards as found in the core sets, in terms of both size, style, and design. The Vagabond is exactly the same, I believe. So that's there. There's the Riverfolk Company. Lizard Cult over here. And the Mechanical Marquise. So again, like all the factions, the playable factions in the core game, there is a nice description of each of them, advice, thoughts, things to keep in mind when playing that particular faction. One there for the Riverfolk Company. They are designated with a high complexity, low aggression. So this is the first low aggression one that we have seen. So if you are a player who is not as... maybe you're just a little bit more averse to the conflict and the fighting and you want to play a bit more of a peaceful style of game, I think the Riverfolk Company will be probably your go-to with the low aggression. High complexity, so there's a lot of interesting things and a lot of cool plays you can make with this faction. Flip over the Vagabond. It's going to be the exact same as the core. Moderate complexity, moderate aggression. And so you've already seen this in the core. Let's get to the Lizard Cult here. I'm sure you want to see that. Again, high complexity, moderate aggression, high card wealth, and high crafting ability. So a lot going on with the Lizard Cults. I'm really excited to try these guys out. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. Again, a lot of text describing what's going on with the Lizard Cult, their hatred of birds, etc. Very interesting. Here's the Mechanical Marquise. So this is the bot, a human player. Well, a human will be controlling them, but a human will never be playing as this faction. So, and this is shown on the back. There's no advice on how to play them like the other ones. So that's the Mechanical Marquise. And if you are using the Mechanical Marquise, you will just seat them. The rules describe that you'll seat them at the table as if it's a human player, and then one person can just move the pieces around and put out the hand of cards for them and everything. I believe it's without looking. But one person will just control the pieces, and then it will be bot play. So do you have any thoughts on the new factions, the player board so far? All right, okay, so let's get on to the next thing. That's just some new components. Looks like one has fallen out here. But a lot of cool new components here. I see that there's now a token for each of the Eerie leaders, so that's interesting. Have to find out what that's about. These signs are for the Riverfolk Company. And these look to be the gardens, I believe, for the Lizard Cult. So some more interesting tokens down here. There's a lot going on with these. Lots of bunnies and rabbits down there. A new Vagabond player token, Lizard Cult one, and the Riverfolk Company. So check out the back. These are numbers. Okay, yeah, so those were the leaders. They're numbered here. And now, here are the game pieces. So we'll get these out. The Lizard Cult looks great. You can really tell that they're alligators. Really nice pieces there. This is interesting. What do you make of these? I know that's the Vagabond piece there. Then there's some really... Try to get this under a bit better light. Some interesting blue kind of orbs there.
Yeah, I'm not certain what that would be.
Yeah, looks nice. It's got a nice kind of gleam to it. As you can see, or I guess not as you can see, but the Vagabond piece is black this time around, so it is not like the gray one that comes in the core game, so you'll be able to distinguish whose is whose, and that corresponds with the black victory point marker there as well. So it's going to be clear which Vagabond's yours. You can pick whether you like the black color or the gray at the beginning of the game. This right here is the card stand for the Mechanical Marquise, as the cards will be propped up in this stand. It reminds me of the game Memoir 44, the way the card stand. It's kind of somewhat typical card stand. Has a slot for the cards to go in. And yeah, you're going to put the Mechanical Marquise hand in there. You're not going to be able to look at it, but it's going to be propped up, and then you reveal the cards like one at a time at certain points, or if you have like a spy card, you can pull one out to look at it, etc. So this is essentially for the Mechanical Marquise, but another player could use it if they'd like to. It is only one. I would say I would have rather maybe. I see why it's only one because it's primarily for the Mechanical Marquise, but I think it's not a bad thing to have if the players want to use them. But then I guess they have to make 6 to accommodate each player.
Well, those aren't expensive to produce, though, is the thing.
Yeah, I think they. If I were to have one complaint so far, I think they maybe could have made one for each player. And here are the Riverfolk Company pieces. So the Otters. Get a fair...
It's worth noting they could have picked a better color. It's like...
Really? I don't mind the color at all, honestly.
Well, they're using a blue, and you already have a blue token in the game.
I would say this is a teal, though. Whereas the Eerie is like a kind of deep, darker blue.
Yeah, why not just make them brown, though?
Brown. I feel like brown pieces wouldn't stand out on the board very well.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't mind the blue. I think it suits their theme. I actually like the color myself. But the Lizard Cult is really vibrant. I'll get these pieces out here. This yellow is really, really vibrant. I do like the Lizard Cult figures more, but I like the Otters as well. They are printed on one side. That's like the factions from the core game. Unfortunately, the face is not on both sides, but that is not the biggest concern. That's still nice that they have it on one. So beyond that, the only additional thing is a small pack of cards. It's probably not what you're buying the expansion for, but it could be nice that it's potentially adding a little bit. We'll see what those cards are, as it's a small amount. We can quickly go through, just take a quick look at them. Okay, yeah, so these are the cards that associate with the expansion. It's the spy cards, which play with the Mechanical Marquise. So perhaps beyond that, I know they particularly work with the Mechanical Marquise. They may in your regular games as well. So 4 spy cards, 1 for each type of clearing, and the wild bird card. We have the 3 new rogue characters, or vagabond characters, sorry. Actually get these characters under a bit better light. And lastly, rounding out the pack of cards is just some description cards of the Lizard Cult. Not some, 1 for each. A description card of the Lizard Cult and the Riverfolk Company.
It's unfortunate that your opponents don't get a card for them.
Yeah, whereas the core there were a bunch, so I'm not sure what they're... Perhaps those cards weren't really being used often. Players didn't find them useful maybe, and that's why they've not provided 1 for each player. I'm not really sure what their reasoning there is. I would have liked to see 1 for each player, or at least more than 1.
Yeah, and then in terms of storage, this box doesn't come with an insert, really.
Yeah, we'll get all the garbage out so you can have a bit of a better
It also doesn't come with too many extra bags, it must be noted.
It is, it's 2. So you have a bit of a bigger one here, and then they provide this small one here. I would say...
They should have given 1 more bag.
For the faction pieces, I think, yeah. Yeah, so that is of note. You do have 1 here. I think even then, you could fit all the Otters in there.
It's a smaller bag, though.
Actually, the bag would probably... I'm wondering if... No, the tokens... I
think that's the token bag.
Yeah. Because I was thinking I'd maybe just put my tokens with the tokens from the base game, but perhaps if you're trying to keep your expansion stuff separate, the bag might be for the tokens.
So, worth noting, you're going to need a couple Ziplocs for this one.
And another thing to note is that based on the insert in the core game, if you are someone who likes to throw some card sleeves on your cards, the cards won't actually fit in the insert and the tray of the core game once they are sleeved. So I'm actually quite happy that there's this much space inside this box, because you're actually getting a lot more storage space because if you keep the insert in the core, that actually is already really full, and then if you do sleeve them, you're absolutely going to need the extra box. Even if you don't, the core box is already pretty stuffed. So I like that there's a lot of extra space in there. I like that they've gone with a bit of a bigger box, even though there's not a ton of components here. Any final thoughts on the quality of components, amount of components, new factions?
It's disappointing there's a lack of bags. It's disappointing there's a lack of player reference cards, and it's disappointing there's a lack of additional card stands. We already pointed out all those things. But beyond that, the quality of the components looks good. I'm not sure why the gator looks like it has feathers on the back of its head. I will say that. Scales, maybe? Where's the picture of the guy on the box? I think it would have been better to have a flat back to the meeple head.
Yeah. I see that they're like trying to do scales, but
it looks
they
too
seem
much like the bird piece.
a little bit pronounced, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do still like the gator overall. I think I like the way they did its like kind of snout, or I guess snout, and its mouth. The eye is nice too. It's got a little bit, being the cult, it's got a little bit more of a menace to it than the otter looks a little more friendly. And I like, actually, if you are someone who's a big Vagabond player, I think this is great that you're getting 3 new character options. So if you're someone who has the core game, you're playing a lot, maybe a bunch of 3-4 player games, even, I guess Vagabond maybe not as useful in 2, but maybe you're using it in 2-player games as well. If you're a fan of the Vagabond, I think you're going to be really happy to be seeing 3 new character cards, as that's going to add a lot of replayability as you get to try out all the new ones. And they look to be quite interesting, all with their unique abilities, different starting items. So yeah, I think a lot to be happy here if you're a Vagabond player, or if you're interested in the 2 new factions, or if you're interested in solo play or cooperative play, or play with 5 or 6 players. So I think this expansion is adding a lot in terms of the various game modes you can play, the various faction combinations, and I think this, even having not played it yet, I can already tell that this is adding a lot to the game.
Well, there you have it. That's everything that comes in the Riverfolk expansion for Root.
Yeah, huge fan of the box, again, as we discussed in the previous video of the Root core game. Incredible art by Kyle Farron here. I think it really enhances what's going on, as you said in the previous video, expanding the reach of the game. I think it's really refreshing. It's nice. Just a huge fan of the art style. The box itself is like a good quality box. It has a nice feel to it. It's not a massive box either. This is actually something I would say this is a very portable game if you're bringing it over to a friend's house.
Well, beyond that, a box of this size, plus obviously the core, because you're going to need both, anyone's going to be able to store that. Like if you have a small apartment, you're going to be able to find a spot for this, whereas like Twilight Imperium,
TI4, 4th
edition, even even in an LCG, if you've got 3 cores, that's starting to add up in size, But this is pretty compact, good size box.
Yeah, actually, something to note too. It is the exact same dimensions in terms of length and height of the core game, so they stack really nicely on top of each other.
Well, the height, it's length and width. The height is the core game is a deeper box.
Yeah, I guess that was the wrong dimension I was referencing. But yeah, like you can see, they line up really nicely. Even with both of them, it's not not too bulky. It's not that big at all. You could throw this in a backpack, in a bag if you're going, bringing it somewhere, or yeah, like you said, just storage space. You're gonna have room for this one.
Yeah, well, that's all we've got on the Riverfolk for now. Hopefully this video was useful. Let us know in the comments if you've played with the Riverfolk, you're looking forward to picking it up, you have questions about anything in the video.
Yeah, if you're excited about the new factions, the Riverfolk or the Lizard Cult, yeah, give us a shout if you're really looking forward to playing one of those.
And if not, thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.